I'm a night shift security guard for a tunnel that doesn't appear on any map. I took the job because it paid $40 an hour, and all I had to do was sit in a booth and watch a monitor. No experience required. The only catch: I had to work the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift at Site 9, a service tunnel cut into the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. On my first night, my supervisor, a guy named Miller, who looked like he hadn't slept since the 90s, handed me a laminated sheet of paper. "Don't lose this," he said. "And don't get creative. If the rules say sit, you sit." I laughed, thinking he was just an old-school hardhead. Then I read the rules. Keep the gate closed. No vehicles are authorized to enter or exit between 11 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. If a car approaches, do not speak to the driver. Turn off your booth lights and look at the floor until they leave. Ignore the scraping. The tunnel is concrete. Concrete doesn't breathe. If you hear rhythmic scraping coming from the tunnel vent, turn up the radio. The 2 a.m. check. At exactly 2 a.m., a man in a yellow, high-visibility vest will walk out of the tunnel. He will ask you for a cigarette. Give him one. Do not look at his hands. He doesn't have fingers. The mirror rule. If you see your own reflection in the booth window and it's smiling while you are not, leave the booth immediately and stand in the rain. It doesn't like the rain. I sat there for the first few hours, listening to the wind. At 11:15 p.m., a black SUV pulled up to the gate. I almost opened my mouth to ask for ID, but I remembered Rule 1. I killed the lights and stared at my boots. The driver started honking. Then, the honking turned into a scream, a loud, mechanical screeching that sounded like metal being torn apart. It lasted for 10 minutes. When I finally looked up, the SUV was gone. There were no tire tracks in the dirt. At 1:30 a.m., the scraping started. Scritch, scritch, scritch. It was coming from the air vent right above my head. It sounded like someone was trying to sharpen their fingernails on the inside of the metal grate. I turned my radio to a static-filled rock station and cranked it until my ears hurt. Then came 2 a.m. The man in the yellow vest walked out of the darkness of the tunnel. He moved with a strange, jerky gait, like a puppet on strings. He tapped on the glass. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a Marlboro, and slid it through the tray at the bottom. "Got a light?" he rasped. I kept my eyes locked on his chin. As he reached for the cigarette, I saw his hands out of the corner of my eye. They weren't hands. They were long, pale stalks of bone, sharpened to fine points. That's what the scraping was. "Thanks," he said, and he turned back into the tunnel. I was shaking, but I figured I was almost done. Only 2 hours left. I leaned back and sighed, looking at the window. The reflection of the booth was clear in the dark glass. I saw the desk, the radio, and myself. My reflection was leaning forward. It was grinning so wide that the corners of its mouth reached its ears. It raised a hand with 5 normal fingers, and began to slowly unlock the booth door from the inside. I didn't think. I bolted. I threw the door open and ran out into the freezing downpour. I stood there, drenched to the bone, staring into the booth. My reflection was still inside, standing where I had been, staring at me through the glass with that horrific smile. It looked disappointed. I stayed in the rain until 4 a.m. when Miller showed up. He didn't ask why I was wet. He just looked at the booth, then at me. "Good job," he muttered. "Most people don't make it past the cigarette guy." I quit that morning. I didn't even wait for my paycheck. But now, every time I look in a mirror, my reflection is just a second too slow to follow my movements. And sometimes, when it's quiet at night, I hear a faint scritch, scritch, scritch coming from the vents in my apartment. I think I brought something back with me. Or maybe the reflection that left the booth wasn't me at all.